I forgot the countdown. I was trying to get a tweet out there. I was looking at the draft board. Things go wrong quickly around here. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? I'm Dave Loughran at Laffy_D on the Twitters. Hit me up. Give me a follow. Say hello. Talk shit. Doesn't matter to me. While you're over there, though, be sure to follow my co-host for today doing another draft. Not a mock draft. It's an actual draft over at Underdog Fantasy. Matt Gajewski at Matt_Gajewski on the Twitters. What's happening, man? I feel great about our first draft, trying to replicate it here.
Yeah, me too, man. And I'm glad we can just start doing more and more of these drafts as the season wears on. We'll eventually have training camp and all kinds of new news.
I know. Can't wait for it. You've been pumping out a ton of videos over at the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel. Check that out. So have I. Different videos. I think you'll enjoy all of them. Honestly, at this point, it's all you need to get ready for the season. I promise. But being able to see these drafts is pretty huge too. Now, we unfortunately last time got the first overall. Not that that's unfortunate, but it's just weird doing a show. Well, today we're thinking maybe we don't have to actively change up our strategy. Maybe we'll get 6, which I hate drafting in the middle this year. Maybe we'll get the end of the draft. We got second, and it started right before we went live. You didn't miss anything. We took Dalvin Cook, and Matt, we'll come back around. We'll get 2 picks pretty quickly in the second and third. But just to recap the first one, if I'm not getting McCaffrey, I think Dalvin Cook is the surefire number 2 pick. And I don't even, maybe you could say it's close, but I love Dalvin Cook this year. I'm perfectly fine getting him at 2 if I'm not getting McCaffrey at 1.
Yeah, we're in agreement on Dalvin Cook at 2. You just look at the other running backs. They all have concerns. They're slight, but Derrick Henry still doesn't have that pass catching role. So if something goes wrong in Tennessee and they end up throwing the ball more, Derrick Henry might be off the field. They even put McNichols in over him at times last year. Kamara's going through a QB transition. And then from there, you have Barkley with the injury, Ezekiel Elliott off a down year. So I think it's pretty clearly Cook at 2.
Me too. And if you look at what we've gotten so far, it's actually, it looks like I accidentally took Derrick Henry. I guess I misclicked. I was scrambling. Fortunately, I tried to get into the Big Millie, which I already have a bunch of entries in there, Matt. And
yeah.
And it wasn't going to fill in time for the show. So we just jumped into the puppy. So $5 entry. What are you going to do? We'll live. I mean, it could be worse. Although I have Derrick Henry in PPR formats ranked behind Cook and Alvin Kamara. But blame that one on me, Matt, because there's nobody else to take blame for it.
Hey, man, we still get a top 4 running back. It could be a lot worse.
Yeah, I just was talking so much about how I love Dalvin Cook. It's cool. We're good. No worries here. Anyway, you had Kamara go, you had Cook, Kamara, Elliott, Kelsey went 6, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs. This is pretty crazy, though, because then you get a bunch. Look at that. Barkley went 10, Mixon went 9, Kittle went 11. So there are people getting Jonathan Taylor as the 4th pick in the second round. That's absurd.
Yeah, these picks are coming in fast, too, but this is not typically what you see in the first round of a lot of these drafts. I do agree with maybe the top 8, Kelsey, Tyreek, and Diggs, but after that, a lot of players coming off the board I wouldn't expect.
So you and I talked about maybe taking a tight end early to change things up a little bit in this draft. I actually took Hawkinson in one of the ones I did in the 6th round a couple of days ago. We got 10 seconds left. Najee Harris is still on the board. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still on the board. Who do you like here?
I would probably still go Waller here because Kittle's gone, and there is a tier break for me after Waller at tight end.
Okay.
With that, too, I hope this person who's drafting at the 1 is not in our chat and doesn't double tap RB here. That would be where I would like to go with the next pick.
Yeah, I would really like to go there because if you come back around, look at some of the wide receivers still, and he did. Double tapped wide tight. Now, granted, we're doing a $5 draft. Like I said, Derrick Henry misclicked. Dumb me. But we're going to try some different things out here. Now, Matt, I know we got A.J. Brown in the last one. I like Michael Thomas here. I don't want to reach on a running back if we couldn't get those other guys.
Yeah, I agree with you. Who's the top running back on the board, just for reference?
It was A.J. Brown, but I went with Michael Thomas just because we did A.J. Brown in the last one. I think Michael Thomas is going to have a huge bounce back season. I really like him this year.
Yeah, who was the best running back available?
Okay. It was Swift and Dobbins. And I don't know where you're at on them, but I'm not particularly comfortable. And I'd honestly rather have like a Carson. I know you don't like Montgomery, so we'll get into that debate later, but I just don't feel great about Swift on that team and his workload with Jamal Williams. I'm nervous that J.K. Dobbins plays on a team that doesn't throw the ball. So I don't know. Where do you stand on those two guys? Because I don't have much at all of them this year.
I agree with you. That's another tier break for me. And this is kind of a good talking point when you're at that tier break position in drafts. We only had Derrick Henry there. And rather than force a running back who's in an inconsistent workload or has just workload questions, I would rather take the surefire pick in Michael Thomas there 10 out of 10 times.
For sure. And hey, we're happy to have you guys with us. I forgot to mention that at the top. Scrambling. These live draft shows can be a little strange at times. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. It's greatly appreciated. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. But more importantly, check out the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel. That's where we're putting out a ton of content every single day to get you ready for your drafts. And, you know, Matt, I think I've said it a lot at this point already, but I love these God, why does this keep happening? I love these underdog drafts a lot. And I think we've had a lot of fun with them. Another thing, too, is you can use the mobile app, which is just kind of flawless. I think it was you that said you basically do all of your drafts on the mobile app.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can just like throw yourself into a draft when you're out for a walk, whatever it may be. They're super quick, easy to get into. I just do them when I'm cooking, doing random things around the house.
Me too. There have been times where I've been very close to missing picks because when you have things to do, like, you know, my 4-year-old daughter starts crying and my pick is coming up. It's sometimes you're like, all right, well, I get the daughter, her in one hand, I get this in the other hand, trying to figure it out. But the drafts do go pretty quick. Like you can get them done in 45 minutes sometimes.
Yeah, super easy, super fun, great prep for your seasonal leagues. Good prep for DFS too, if you're just trying to familiarize yourself with new rosters in the offseason.
Kind of the thing that I've come across with Underdog is the fact that you have, and I know a lot of people have been tweeting me about this, like the fact that you have the $5 one, which is still $50K up top. You could go over there and fine tune your skills and then jump into the $25 entry, which is over $1 million, the first $3.5 million prize pool. And if you use the promo code Awesemo when you do, AWESEMO, you get a free $25 when you sign up and deposit. That's enough to jump right into that, or do 5 in the $5, whatever you want to do. But it's the best platform out there for best ball right now. I don't really think it's debatable at this point. I love it. Everyone that's tried it has loved it. So jump in some of these drafts with us when we're doing them. We'll have some fun. And I'll be throwing out some tweets that I'm doing them in the near future. Jump in those. We'll enjoy it. But use the promo code Awesemo. Sign up at Underdog Fantasy. Get in these drafts. And they have them for other sports too. Like they got NBA, MLB stuff. But this best ball stuff right now, it's a lot of fun. And it's, dare I say, addicting. It's a lot of fun. All right. So we're coming up, Matt. We have, 2 picks until it gets to us. Miles Sanders, David Montgomery still on the board, Josh Jacobs, Mike Davis. Those are your top. Miles Sanders is gone. Those are your top running backs. At wide receiver, you have, let's see here, Adam Thielen, T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson. Like that's what we're working with right now.
I still like Thielen and T. Higgins there. I don't have a strong preference between them. If it were up to me, I would go Thielen.
So are you cool going no running back until the 5th?
Yeah, we'll have a pick here coming up shortly, and I think we can just take whoever's left.
Okay, we can go Thielen here. Oh,
yes,
okay, so you're still cool with the run. I thought you wanted to wait, to the 6th, but I thought you wanted to take Thielen and T. Higgins. You're talking about just one of those guys and then try and grab a running back here.
Yep, exactly.
All right. We haven't talked about Mike Davis. I don't think he's particularly great, but I think if I have to settle on Davis, he's pretty much the last 3 down back that you're going to have a chance to get before it drops off to speculative guys and backups like ETN and Javonte Williams and Myles Gaskin. And Myles Gaskin isn't really a backup, but I don't feel great about him. Trace Sermon's going at 75 ADP. So Montgomery, Jacobs, and Mike Davis are here. We have 1 pick to go. I'll let you know who's on the board.
Okay. I have, just for reference, Mike Davis the highest out of these.
Okay, let's go Mike Davis. I have David Montgomery, but I'm fine going with Mike Davis here.
I have them back to back.
Okay, that's fine.
I think Montgomery just has slightly more workload concerns with Tariq Cohen back and Damian Williams coming in. I know David Montgomery is very efficient on any sort of efficiency metric you look at, force missed tackles, like yards after contact, but Tariq Cohen is that pass catching specialist. I don't see that role changing for him.
Love it. All right. So another thing too is one thing I mentioned, I did a video. It was top running backs to take after the first round, because the first round, it's easy. You're probably you could slip and fall into a decent one. But one of the points I've been making is, and some people might not be on the same page, this is where I'm at this year. I want to have my number one, I want to have my running back 1 and running back 2 spots filled up by round 5, because I'm not comfortable having my backup as a guy that might be a legitimate backup or might be the starter, but we have no idea. So Mike Davis as the RB2, does it look pretty? No, but at least we know this guy has zero competition in that backfield right now. Zero.
Yeah, I feel a lot better coming out of the first 5 or 6 rounds with 2 backs that I know have a workload. We talked about this a little bit last time, but if you're hitting running back often in the early rounds, so say you take 2 running backs with your top 2 picks, then I'm more likely to take fewer running backs on my team overall, where if we were to say we didn't take Mike Davis, we took another receiver, you and I are probably spending the next couple rounds in our mid-round picks and taking more running backs than we would have otherwise.
Right. No. Oh yeah. That's exactly what's going to happen. Now, whereas last draft we had Christian McCaffrey, Clyde Edwards-Helaire as our 1 and 2. So we loaded up on a lot of wide receivers late. And with Best Ball, you're not setting a lineup. If you're new to Best Ball, if you're new to Underdog Fantasy, you're not setting a lineup. You're not making in-season management moves. You're not trading. There's no waiver wire. Your best lineup is optimized every week. So, and Matt, you could probably touch on this because we still got a little ways to go until our next pick, but this is important stuff here. We talk a lot about stacking, which is important. Stacking a quarterback with one of his pass catchers, or like an elite pass catching back, maybe an Austin Eckler or a Justin Herbert, or a Sam Darnold and a Christian McCaffrey if you want. But when it comes to if you're weak at a position early, loading up at the position late, because you don't need big weeks from those guys every single week of the year. You're just hoping that every few or even every several weeks, one of those gives you enough to be in that top 3 receiver spot or top 2 running back or flex spot.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. You should cater your strategy throughout the draft based on what you do early. And I think you said that well. Right.
And last year, Ty Gurley had a ton of red zone opportunities, even though he was phased out over the end of the year. Mike Davis is going to get opportunities. This is still a decent offense. So this is what we've got through our first 5 rounds. Derrick Henry, I'm fine with it. I meant to click Dalvin Cook. What are you going to do? Mike Davis, Michael Thomas, Adam Thielen, and Darren Waller. Matt and I went into this. Now, I don't know about you, Matt. I probably, in most of my drafts, I don't go early tight end, but Darren Waller's a stud, and I'm fine with it. There's actually the first draft I've done with an early tight end. But actually, hold on. Let's hold off here. We got our pick coming up in the 6th round. Let me tell you who we got. Javonte Williams is still there. Myles Gaskin, Trey Sermon. Wide receivers, you have, and we don't need to take a tight end for a while. Devontae Smith, I think his ADP is way too high. Judy, DJ Shark, Deebo Samuel, Tyler Boyd. What do you like here?
I like DJ Chark quite a bit, actually. I'm okay taking Jerry Judy in this spot here as well, though.
Okay. Let's go Shark. Let's go Shark. I like DJ Shark here. I think Trevor Lawrence is just a massive upgrade from everything we've seen before. I mean, the quarterback play there last year was dreadful. But yeah, picking up on what I was saying, normally you might not go Darren Waller there, but we said we'll do a little something different if we end up being on one of those top 2 spots like we were last draft, because our team would be eerily similar to what it was this time. So why not try a different build only if we had one of those top 2 picks?
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing. If you're playing multiple drafts, you don't want the same players in all of your drafts, especially if you're playing something like the puppy, or you're going for that $1 million prize and you're trying to actually take it down. You need to diversify your portfolio a little bit, and this is just one way to do that. And I'm actually really comfortable with Waller, basically right around that that 2nd, 3rd round turn if you're drafting early, because you do get such a competitive advantage at the tight end spot when you get one of those elite guys.
And hold on a second. I think we missed our pick. Did I get it? Well, we got Myles Gaskin. I'm actually okay with that in the 8th pick, though.
Yeah, he's my highest player on the board.
Let's see here. He was mine too. I don't hate that at all. We got him at the 74th pick, 65.5. And by the way, granted, this is not how we normally draft. These can be difficult. My computer's even running slow over here. But this is not how you normally draft, just frantic making moves. It's tough because I have to relay these to Matt. And then we've got 2 picks right next to each other it sucks drafting this early, doing these live drafts. But in the end, I think everything will play out fine. I'm not in love with Gaskin this year, but we just got him as our, 7th pick? I don't think that's awful at all, as a matter of fact.
No, I'm fine with Gaskin.
What do you think his workload looks like there this year in that Miami backfield?
Last year, they were really committed to Gaskin. He went down for that 3-game stretch towards the end of the season where Salvin Ahmed actually played almost 1-for-1. And then when Gaskin returned healthy, a lot of people were questioning if it would be a timeshare. What would that look like? Gaskin came right back in and handled all the work.
You expect that to be the same this year with them not going heavy in the draft? Like you thought they might go running back. You thought the Falcons might go running back. They picked up Javian Hawkins as an undrafted free agent rookie. And you didn't really get much of note, at least in the early rounds, out of Miami either.
Yeah, honestly, I think Malcolm Brown's more of a threat than Javian Hawkins. Javian Hawkins is probably going to get cut.
Yeah, I would imagine that's the case as well. I mean, the guy is 5'8", or he's a little fella. If
he's
anything,
Marquise Brown size.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's take a look at where we want to go coming up. We're still 11 picks away, but let's review our roster right now and see what we need. So we have 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers. We have a tight end. We have Derrick Henry, Mike Davis. We have Myles Gaskin. We have Michael Thomas, Adam Thielen, and I think Michael Thomas is going to have a huge year this year, especially if Winston better start, and DJ Shark. And then we have a top 3 tight end. The position falls off a cliff after that in Darren Waller. What are you looking to do next?
I think we should go for receivers now. I'm not 100% comfortable with our runners, but we do have 3 players that profile as starters with secure workloads. Maybe they're not as secure as some others at the top, but I think we could really bolster our team with wide receivers.
For sure. So what we've got now, and I'm assuming some of these guys will be gone. Antonio Brown, Marquise Brown is an 89 ADP. Brandon Cooks, Jarvis Landry, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman, someone I like this year, Mecole Hardman, Devontae Parker. That's who's left on the board. It's not super pretty right now. Let me give you who we have at running back. We've got, because we might be able to look at some running backs here. Trey Sermon's still there. Raheem Mostert's still there. Damian Harris, James Robinson. Sermon just went. Michael Carter's still there. Ronald Jones, Zach Moss, James Conner.
Yeah, I like the San Francisco backs a lot, especially Mostert, I think, is going undervalued. A lot of reports coming out of San Francisco that Mostert's going to retain his role, which makes a lot of sense. He's a proven commodity. He's just 185 pounds, so it's not like he can handle 20 touches. But 2 years ago, we saw San Francisco. They had the second highest run rate in the NFL last year, just devastated by injuries. It's conceivable that Mostert and Trey Sermon each handle around 15 touches a game. So I'm very comfortable with them at their ADPs, like Michael Carter as well.
Yeah, what did Shanahan say? Like they want to run the ball 50 times a game or something ridiculous?
I mean, he's done that before. Last year, they just lost Kittle, Garoppolo, among others.
Right, yeah, and the defense was really, really banged up too. That defense should have been far better than it was, and they were a sieve in many of those games. It forced them to throw. That San Francisco team looked nothing like they would have had they were even been half as healthy as they were.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we're up in 3. If Mostert's there, I'm all right with it. I honestly wouldn't even mind taking Michael Carter there either. I guess the question to you is, do you really want any of those receivers right there? I don't mind Brandon Cooks. The quarterback situation sucks, but he's the bona fide number 1 on that team, and it's not even close. I don't think Michael Pittman is bad in Indy, but I'll let you make the play here since you're going with the analyst role today. I'm happy to have you do that. We are on the clock.
Let's get Mostert.
All right, let's do it.
Now that puts us at 4 running backs, and we should hit receiver again, I think.
And while Raheem Mostert isn't a like guaranteed bell cow back this year, he's actually done decent in the passing game at times. But more than anything, if this team runs as much as we expect them to, Matt, he might not need to be the lead back as long as, like you said, if they're each getting 15 carries a game, what's it matter?
Yeah, and we're playing for the top prize in a huge tournament right now. So we want best case scenario to happen.
I'm going Brandon Cooks if he's here.
Yeah, he's highest receiver on my board too.
Okay. I just think even bad teams are going to have to throw the football. And are you assuming Tyrod Taylor is the starter? There goes Brandon Cooks. All right,
I am until further notice. Obviously, if Watson started, you're just playing with house money.
We got to call an audible here. Wide receiver looks ugly, Matt.
Yeah, I'm
We
probably
could go Higbee here, and he might just serve as a flex for us in many situations.
Yeah, that could work as well.
Yeah, let me do that. Let's just see, because we're trying different things out here. We don't really have to draft another tight end at this point. We've got Waller and Higbee.
No, that's done.
It's done. Yeah, and I don't like to load up if I on tight end or get it one in the top 10 if that's there, but sometimes you run into a situation where you just don't love any of the players on the board. You don't want to go with your fifth running back yet, and sometimes just take the best player available.
The thing about wide receiver too, that's the easiest position to draft late.
Yep.
You can take wide receiver threes that pop off for spiked weeks. You can't really do that at any other position.
No, not at all. It's gonna come back to us for the it's gonna come back to us for how many picks do we have? What do we have? 10 already or 9? Yeah, we have 9. It's gonna come back to us for 10 and 11, and there's still gonna be a ton of receivers that we like that have legitimate upside. Like maybe not wide receiver 1 upside, but I think there are still a bunch of receivers out there that could still give you wide receiver 2 upside and huge best ball upside. Like even guys like Henry Ruggs. This guy profiled as a unanimous consensus first round pick. Did the Raiders reach on him? Probably. They reach on everybody, but he was still a first round guy. 37% of his looks were on deep balls last year. So I don't feel great about that, but I know that in his second year, could Henry Ruggs win us 3 weeks, or could Henry Ruggs be in the optimal for us for 3 or 4 weeks of the year? Absolutely. And I think there are still a lot of guys out there that can do that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's a lot of second-year players on top of Henry Ruggs. You just look at that rookie class last year. Justin Jefferson came out of this range. You had a bunch of productive receivers coming out of this middle of the draft area, which I think we could see again based on some of the profiles you already laid out. Love Ruggs.
Oh, you do like Ruggs. Who else do you like here? Gage should probably be gone. He'll be the third option, second wide receiver option in Atlanta. Elijah Moore just went. Rashad Bateman, the rookie, first round pick for Baltimore. Marvin Jones. We already have Shark. So unless we're looking to get Lawrence, that might not be in play. Rondell Moore. Gabriel Davis is an interesting one. Jalen Reagor. All of those guys are still there for us at wide receiver.
Yeah, Russell Gage is the highest for me right now. That is entirely a volume play. Gage,
you said?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think people realize that Gage was targeted 110 times last year.
And now you're vacating targets from a receiver that's top 5 in efficiency year over year. And I know they have Pitts, but
still.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and Gabriel Davis, he saw 20 deep balls last year, 4 more than Stephon Diggs. I just did my second sleepers wide receiver video, so I'm locked in on all this and I actually remember it. But like, this guy was a rookie with 8 touchdowns. Even if he sees regression there, Gabriel Davis is to me at least interesting, depending on how you feel about Emmanuel Sanders. But John Brown's gone. Cole Beasley might retire over all of this shit. I think Gabriel Davis is an interesting speculative play, but Russell Gage just went.
Yeah, I would honestly at this point look at some of the Buffalo receivers. They're all tightly packed. And I think that's because of the uncertainty we have with Cole Beasley right now. If he actually retired or left or something, it would give us a lot of clarity in that situation. And we just want pieces of this Buffalo offense. They're going to score a ton of points and win a ton of games.
Yep, they're going to probably be top 5 offense again. They're going to throw at a top 5 clip because they don't love running the football. They're going to get a ton of red zone opportunities. I say if Gabe Davis is there, why don't we just take Davis?
Yeah, I'm in.
All right, unless you want Marvin Jones, and then we have to get Trevor Lawrence, but that's a sketchy play.
I prefer Davis.
Me too. Not to mention, Emmanuel Sanders is going into his 12th season too. There's nothing that suggests that he's going to be locked in this year either. So,
yeah.
All right. I'm just going to read this out. We got 4 receivers, Matt. We have 4 running backs. We have 2 tight ends. Let's at least see if there's any quarterbacks here worth taking. Tannehill, Rodgers, Lawrence, Fields, Matt Ryan, Tua.
I'm honestly okay taking Ryan Tannehill or Rodgers. We're drafting Rodgers. The only reason he's this cheap is because people don't expect him to play.
All right, let's take him. Maybe we can grab one of the cheaper stack options later in the draft at wide receiver.
With our last pick.
Yeah, with our last pick, exactly.
But this pick with Rodgers, Laffy and I obviously know the concerns Rodgers not playing at all. Playing in Green Bay would be a fantastic situation, but even if he's dealt somewhere else, we still know Rodgers is a supreme talent. So I'm not really worried about it. And again, we're trying to win a tournament here. So we're not drafting for any sort of middling outcome. This is if Rodgers plays a full 16 games.
Exactly. Not to mention, I mentioned earlier, if you guys weren't in it, but or if you just joined now, we tried to get into the Millie one, but it would have taken too long to fill. So we got into the puppy. This is a $5 one. I think depending on what your situation looks from a bankroll standpoint, you can take some more risks as well when it comes to these lower dollar ones and just fire away. And also, Matt, you are going to get some good opportunities in this one with the $5. The drafts just aren't as sharp. I see a lot more mistakes being made, or at least what I perceive to be mistakes being made in these. And you saw how crazy the first round was. While we wait, let me go back to that. First round, look at this. For some people that weren't here, some idiot drafted Henry over Cook. Accident. Cook, Kamara, Elliott, Kelsey, Hill. Diggs went 8. Mixon, Barkley went 10, which I don't think is crazy. Kittle 11, Cam Akers 12, and then Chubb second round. Jonathan Taylor, 4th pick, 16th overall. Eckler, 6th pick, middle of the second round for Austin Eckler. Aaron Jones, even with all of the uncertainty, and this is why I say it every video I make, nobody is undraftable. Nobody, in my opinion. Like, if they fall to a good spot, I'll take them. If Aaron Jones fell there, I was taking him, even though we had Waller on the board. If Aaron Jones fell there, I was going Aaron Jones. But just really incredible how that draft played out in the first couple rounds.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember. I don't believe this was last year. It was 2 years ago, if my mind serves me correctly, that Tyreek Hill had some legal allegations regarding, I can't even remember what the incident was, but it ended up, whatever happened, it got cleared and Tyreek Hill played. But if you drafted him prior to those allegations getting cleared up, Tyreek Hill was like a double-digit pick in best ball. And then he immediately soared up into the second round or higher because it's Tyreek Hill. So if you just took a risk, you were automatically paid off.
You're absolutely right. That was 2 years ago, because I remember doing a guillotine draft, which are a lot of fun if you haven't tried them. Have you ever done one?
I haven't.
No, they're fun. You would enjoy it. Every week, the person in last place is out, and then their team doesn't disappear. It goes straight into the waiver wire. They're all free agents. It's cool. But anyway, I had 20 people in this league, and I got Tyreek Hill in the late 6th round in a 20-person draft.
Unbelievable.
Unreal, right? Those are the type of risks that you will take every single day of the week. Because at that point, the worst case scenario, and it was the worst case scenario was like 4 or 5 games, 6 games. And if that's the case, it still really sucks. But you're getting, arguably the second best wide receiver in the league at a massively, massively deflated ADP. Are there any guys like that this year that you're willing to take those shots on? Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, basically all of Green Bay.
Yeah, they stick out. One player that's real risky is Deshaun Watson, but you could literally throw him on in the last round in most drafts.
For sure. All right, I want to see what we have at wide receiver. I think we got to add a little bit here.
Yeah, so we have 5 running backs.
We have 4.
4 running backs.
But we have one legit wide receiver 1. We have a fine wide receiver 2. Then you have Gaskin, who some people are drafting as running back 2. Raheem Mostert. We can look at running back. It's just this kind of becomes a dead zone is the problem.
Yeah, this is pretty bad.
Can you see what I'm looking at here?
You have David Johnson, Nyheim Hines. Yeah,
it's gross. But I think here, Traquan Smith is interesting. I like Adam Troutman this year, but there's nothing to suggest that this guy is going to be like the second pass catching option on the team. So I don't know. I don't mind Smith. That would mean that we got to get Jameis at some point, though. Terrace Marshall. Who do you like? We're up next.
I would probably just take Emmanuel Sanders went. That was going to be the guy I wanted to take. Here, it's Traquan Smith.
Yeah. I honestly don't think Traquan Smith's that bad of a pick here. Like, you have Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. Presumably Jameis Winston, who 2 years ago as a starter, despite throwing over 30 interceptions, was the quarterback 2. And no more Emmanuel Sanders. Is it not possible that Traquan Smith could have a decent enough target share this year to pay off a 12th round pretty much a 13th round ADP?
Yeah, I'm completely fine taking him there.
All right, what are you thinking here? We're gonna be up right now.
For me, it would be Christian Kirk or Brashad Perriman.
Okay. I think Perriman is a good pick this year. I did a sleeper video on him as well. What are the chances that he becomes the wide receiver 1 in Detroit, even if they're bad, even if they don't have Stafford anymore? You have Tyrell Williams, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, a rookie. They have the second lowest win total in the league. They're going to have to throw the football. Is that your logic too, or do you have more to it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no target competition outside of Hawkinson and Tyrell Williams, and whatever you make of the Quintez Cephas, Amon-Ra St. Brown battle. He is probably their receiver that is at least the most entrenched, and I know they're entirely rebuilding.
Yeah, no doubt. And hey, welcome to all of you guys that joined a little later in the show. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet, and subscribe to the channel. But for more like straight fantasy football, not even DFS, straight fantasy football content, go over to the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel. Jordan can probably put the link into chat. Or you can, it's been tougher to find. You got to go Awesemo Fantasy Football channel in the YouTube search and it pops right up. But subscribe and check out all that content. Appreciate you for that. You'll enjoy it, I promise. Okay, Matt, let's review. We got 1 quarterback, 4 running back, 6 wide receivers, 2 tight ends.
And again, this strategy is catered to what we did early. So initially we had the second pick, we go running back. We decided to hit tight end early, which changed our strategy as well. And then you and I weren't comfortable with that next running back on the board. So we hit receiver there. But ultimately, we still have 3 bell cow backs. So we've hit more receivers in these mid rounds. For sure.
And it's also, this draft also has a lot to do with what we did in the last live show, for sure. Probably could have done things different, but it's, looking at different approaches, seeing how the drafts pan out is you can do it in a mock draft or do it in a $5 draft. Doesn't matter one way or the other, whatever you feel comfortable with. All right. Let's take a look at some running backs here. Jamal Williams, Singletary, Madison, JD McKissick, Tevin Coleman, James White, Gio Bernard.
So there's one interesting thing I want to bring up with running backs in this range. The players like James White, Devin Singletary, Giovanni Bernard that really don't have a path to a workload. Like in this range, we want running backs that are going to basically have injuries in front of them or they can beat out the starter or something like that. With Singletary, McKissick, White, that's just never going to happen. So you said you'll always draft these players at a certain ADP. Unless it's like round 18, I'm never really taking them.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, and I probably should clarify. I'm talking about if you do overrated players, I generally don't get this deep into the draft in like 14th and 15th round. But what you're saying makes sense. When I say I'll draft anyone, I'll tell you, like 5th round guy that I think should be going in the 6th. If he falls to the 6th, I'll grab him. But yeah, and another thing too is if you have a handful of pretty good running backs already, what are the chances that any week, barring an injury to your top guys, what are the chances that a guy like James White ever ends up in the optimal anyway?
It's not an optimal that actually wins the tournament. It's extremely low.
Exactly. I think Jamal Williams is, damn, there he goes.
I think the best back in this range is either Tevin Coleman or Darrington Evans.
Let's go Coleman because the hype right now on Michael Carter is huge. This guy was a 4th round draft pick. Michael Carter's going in I've seen him go as high as the 7th round, 8th round. The hype is all around him right now, Matt. The initial assumption from the community, the fantasy community, is that he's already the lead back in New York, but we haven't seen that yet.
Right, we haven't. It's just camp reports.
All right, let's go Coleman here. Let me take a look at wide receiver, see if there's anything else there. Jamison Crowder, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Nah, that's not pretty.
I'm with you on Coleman.
All right, let's go. What do you think of MVS here for a Rodgers stack? I know it's not. I know it's not Devontae Adams, but is there anyone else you like here ahead of that? I can pull up quarterback as well.
Yeah, we could take a look at QB.
Because I honestly wouldn't mind grabbing Winston here, even if I have to reach a little bit. I don't feel entirely comfortable having 2 Saints pass catchers without him. Are you worried that that's too much of a reach?
No, I'm fine with Winston.
All right. Let's do it because here, you talk all the time about winning tournaments. If Winston's not the starter and I lose the $5 or even the $25, it sucks, because your team, it's not dead. We still have Aaron Rodgers, but there are very good chances that there are going to be weeks where Jameis Winston is just slinging it. And we've got 2 of his pass catchers on a team that lost Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, it's a little risky build here, but again, you and I are trying to win first place in a huge tournament. These are the kind of things you need to consider. And that doesn't mean get crazy and draft a bunch of players ahead of their ADP or take someone completely off the board. Just make sure you're differentiating in some way, and it doesn't have to be huge.
Exactly.
And honestly, with Rodgers, I know you brought up MVS. I think there's a couple ways you can stack him with your last pick of the draft. You could take Lazard. I think Amari Rodgers is a really interesting pick in the final round. He's the only receiver they've drafted with any sort of draft capital in recent years. He's usually a last round pick. You could just tack him on there.
Okay, yeah, let's try and make that play. So now usually, and I know how you feel about this, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because this is a bit of a risky build. Is there any way in a spot like this that you do go 3 quarterbacks because you have Rodgers and Jameis Winston?
This is the only type of build I would. This is literally the only way I would consider a third.
Me too. I don't think it's crazy that in a spot like this, if we have a decent one, I mean, we'll go Deshaun Watson.
Just full send.
Just full out risky guys across the board. Yeah, you have like Wilson left, Derek Carr, Sam Darnold, Roethlisberger, Jared Goff. If I end up getting one of those, even Goff for that matter, I don't even care. I think we'd be fine.
All right. So if Deshaun Watson gets cleared before week 1, how many wins does that add to their win total? Are they ahead of Detroit automatically?
Oh my God, yeah.
I think so too.
But he doesn't want to play there.
He doesn't have any leverage.
Yeah, that's just true. But it's just one of those things where, so like, do you think if he gets cleared, he will play for Houston?
I have no idea.
Neither do I.
I don't know where Houston, they should trade him. I mean, they probably shouldn't, but their team is so bad. Like, they just need draft picks.
I do know this much, though. In the event that he does get cleared, Deshaun Watson is going to see his ADP shoot through the roof. I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but I mean, you could see him go from undrafted in a lot of these leagues to, 8th, 9th round pick. And then Brandon Cooks without Will Fuller. Brandon Cooks is going to become, I already like him because I think he's being underdrafted, but what do you think Brandon Cooks ADP becomes? Like, I wouldn't even be shocked if he jumps up to the 5th or 6th round.
It's going to skyrocket.
It has to, right? I mean,
yeah.
You go from a Tyrod Taylor or whoever they decide to throw out there to a Deshaun Watson, a legitimately elite fantasy quarterback. Things are going to change quick. So, yeah. All right. We have 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 6 receivers, 2 tight ends. Our tight ends are nice. We got Waller and Higbee. We don't need to go back to that well. We got Michael Thomas, Adam Thielen, DJ Shark, Gabriel Davis, who I like there a lot, Traquan Smith, Brashad Perriman. We completed the Winston Saints stack nicely. We have Aaron Rodgers, Derrick Henry, Mike Davis, Myles Gaskin, Raheem Mostert, and Tevin Coleman. Your call here, Matt.
I actually think receivers are weakest position. And I like what we've done so far, but we're at a point in the draft where we can just bolster this with high upside guys that hopefully enter our lineup 2 or 3 weeks out of the year.
All right, let's load up then. You've got Kadarius Toney. I mean, it's not pretty, but maybe there's somebody here.
Denzel we want breakout candidates. Like Kadarius Toney's a 1st round pick.
Yeah.
So the chances Toney beats out a Darius Slayton, who is a former 5th round pick, it's at least a chance that's there. It's not 0.
All right. Let's take a shot. I actually don't have any of him in my drafts yet.
And again, he's a 16th round pick for a reason. We're not suggesting he goes out there and beats out Sterling Shepard, but he is a 1st round pick. It's in the realm of possibility for him.
He's also a burner, and those type of guys late in drafts can be really useful in best ball leagues like Underdog.
Agreed. Now I would look at running back. Otherwise, it's probably Lazard for that Green Bay stack.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say Lazard. I don't hate Nico Collins. Man, Nico Collins would be an interesting one if Deshaun Watson returned, but I would like to complete that Rodgers stack if possible. You said look at running back. Let's see what we got. I'm assuming not much. Chuba Hubbard, if you're hoping that McCaffrey goes down and he's actually the backup. Damian Williams, Rashad Penny.
I like Rashad Penny a little bit, but I do like the Green Bay stack as well.
Let's go with the Green Bay stack. You and I grabbed Penny in the last one. We'll diversify a little bit here.
All right. And Lazard, I think he is a strong path to playing time.
Yeah, for sure.
The interesting thing will be what they do with Amari Rodgers if he ends up playing more, because he's basically a slot-only receiver, and they already ran Devontae Adams in the slot a lot last year. So do they use him on the outside? Who do they displace from the offense if Amari Rodgers plays more?
Right.
I don't think it's Lazard. I think it's MVS.
You do?
The only reason you'd play Lazard is he gives you that speed, and Adams, Lazard, and Amari Rodgers are all slow, relatively speaking.
So here's the question. We have one pick left. When it comes back around to us, I don't think we're going to be in a position to go with a third quarterback anyway. So this is just going to be a high risk lineup, and I'm perfectly okay with it. In best ball, yes, you're trying to win everything. Consolation prizes aren't that fun, and you got to finish at the top of your first league in order to advance anyway. And that's tough enough in its own right. So we have 5 running backs, 8 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. I think there's a possibility that Rashad Penny may actually still be there. It's unlikely, but I don't think it's out of the question.
There's actually a few backs I'm okay with here.
All right. So Ramondre Stevenson, rookie for New England, Marlon Mack, who could get a huge workload coming back from that ACL if Jonathan Taylor, God forbid, were to get hurt. Samaje Perine. I don't really like much after that, but maybe you have some plays.
I like Samaje Perine. I actually think Devontae Booker's in for a larger workload than people think early in the year because Saquon Barkley is expected to be limited. And if Saquon Barkley suffers a setback, who does New York have?
Right. Yeah, that's true. They don't have anyone.
There are backs that I'm okay with that. Like, we want to take backs that have a path to a 3-down workload.
Yep.
I think Booker has it. I think Perine has it. And I think Chuba Hubbard has it.
You don't think Marlon Mack does if Taylor goes down? I mean, like the problem is Nyheim Hines. But
exactly.
here's the difference. Let me just play devil's advocate there, Matt. Maybe Marlon Mack wouldn't be the 3rd down back and Nyheim Hines would be. It's a half-point PPR league. I saw someone ask that earlier. However, elite top 5 run blocking offensive line in Indianapolis, good overall team, great defense, keep the offense on the field. Whereas guys like Devontae Booker probably aren't going to be on nearly as high-powered an offense. Same with guys like Samaje Perine that could be playing from behind. So I do think Marlon Mack has a path, if Taylor were to go down, to an absurd amount of volume.
Yeah, I think Marlon Mack enters your tournament winning lineup through things like touchdowns, which you laid out the case for.
Right, and I think they will score touchdowns this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Nyheim Hines handles the work if Jonathan Taylor goes down. I think it's split.
Yes, that I would think so too.
Yeah,
Marlon Mack was the starter last year before he got hurt, ahead of Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know what Taylor's going to look like in his return, or what Mack's going to look like in his return, but, there's that question mark there. I'll let you throw the final pick out there. It is the 11th pick in the 18th round, Matt. You still have Hubbard, Stevenson, Mack, Perine, all of these guys still on the board.
Let's go Mack. I want to talk about a strategy thing with him, too.
Let's do it. Let's grab Marlon Mack. Because Mack's actually a pretty decent runner, too.
And one thing I think with these tournaments, so our team's already pretty differentiated just because of the quarterbacks we drafted. But say you ended up with 2 normal quarterbacks like Joe Burrow and Ryan Tannehill. We know those are drafted in every single league. I think you can be a little bit different with your last round pick. Marlon Mack is not drafted in every single draft. So oftentimes when you advance in these tournaments and you move on to the next round, a lot of the teams look the same. That's because players that blow up in these weeks, those are the teams that are more likely to advance. So as you go forward in the playoffs, actually take down the $1 million, sometimes you need unique players. And the best way to get unique players is in the final round of your draft.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, you ready? Here's what we got. That draft took less than 45 minutes.
That's the beauty of them. You're cooking dinner. You got your phone next to you, headphones in, notifies you when your pick is up.
Yep.
Boom, you're done. All ready to go.
It is great on the app because I still get the notifications even if I'm doing it on desktop. The Underdog app is phenomenal. Let you know, like you said, let you know when you're up. You got to be quick because it's 30 seconds. You can do slow drafts too. Maybe you just have a lot going on in your life. Slow drafts are 8-hour clocks. And I actually like that sometimes, be able to research your picks, especially if you want to get into this. Use that promo code Awesemo. Get your $25 when you sign up and deposit over at Underdog Fantasy. If you're not really ready to just make snap decisions like Matt and I are doing, you could do the slow drafts, and that's an amazing way. I don't know if you've ever done this, Matt, but I actually have with Dynasty. Some of the best ways for me to research would be when I get these slow drafts a couple of years ago. This is a few years ago, but I get these slow drafts. I can really sit back with some of these. It could be full out regular fantasy leagues too, just like standard or redraft leagues. And you can really sit back and research where the best plays are, what the best strategies are when you've got 8 hours to make that pick, even though you don't want to be the asshole that takes up the whole 8 hours.
I am very much that guy. I love doing slow drafts in the preseason. And last year we didn't get the preseason, but when you're busy with DFS and you're trying to actually listen to the news that develops through camp, I'll usually have like 10 slow drafts going at the same time. So I end up making a couple picks during the day, but that's enough to keep me mentally stimulated, focus on what's happening in football. And then you get that time to research your picks and focus on DFS or whatever it may be along with it.
Exactly. All right, here we go. Final team. Aaron Rodgers, Jameis Winston at quarterback. A little risky, but that's okay. Derrick Henry, Mike Davis, Myles Gaskin, Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, Marlon Mack, Michael Thomas, Adam Thielen, DJ Shark, Gabriel Davis, Traquan Smith, Rashad Perriman, Kadarius Toney, Alan Lazard. I like the Smith, Gabriel Davis, and Perriman spots there at 4 through 6 since we were a little bit weak at wide receiver. And then we went with a stud tight end in Darren Waller, pretty much a receiver at tight end, and Tyler Higbee. I don't hate it. I like our first draft a little bit better. That's just the style I prefer to draft, is running back heavy in this year, but I don't hate it.
I agree with you. And I think in these tournaments, you should feel uncomfortable in some of your teams if you're drafting more.
That's a great point. That's a really good point. If you're looking at one of these teams like, man, got it. You know, it's done. In the sense like, yeah, it's not the same as being chalky in DFS, but being a little bit different it can give you a chance to go out there and win it. So final thoughts on this one, Matt, before we close up shop.
I like this team a lot. One thing I really like that we didn't touch on a lot is the double tight end, and we took them early. We have 2 top 10 tight ends, actually 2 top 8 tight ends based on my rankings. So this is a strategy. I like to do a tight end. One, you don't have to worry about it the rest of your draft, and it lets you focus on some of those higher upside positions late in draft. So I'm glad we tried this with Waller. I actually like the way the team is shaped up, and this is a strategy I'm for sure going to mix into my portfolio.
No doubt. We will come back here. We'll run it back again. I'm going to throw out some tweets. If you guys want to join some drafts with us along the way, maybe not live ones, because then maybe people just start sniping, but come in and do some drafts and get prepped, whether it's the puppy or the Millie, whatever it is. Hit me up on Twitter at Loughran_D, LOUGHY_D. Follow Matt at Matt_Gajewski. And when I'm about to go live, I'll throw it out there. Hopefully you join in. We'll have some fun with this. Hit that thumbs up before you go. Subscribe to the channel. But first, check out the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel. You'll love it. We'll love you for it. And we're all in this one together. Keep crushing those drafts. We'll see you back here for the next one on the Underdog Fantasy Mock Draft Monday. Not really a mock, but, got to feed the algorithm. We'll see you back here soon.